Good morning. I am Dr.R.Satheesh Raja, Professor, Department of Marine Engineering, PSN College of Engineering and Technology, Tirunelveli. So today I am going to give lecture on Environmental Science and Engineering. So this subject is not only for marine engineering, this is also for all types of branches, example mechanical engineering, civil engineering, computer science engineering. So in this subject I am going to cover three main important areas. It is chapter. First one is ecosystem, second biodiversity, then pollution. First one, ecosystem. So ecosystem is a defined area in which a community lives with the interaction take place among the organisms between the community and its non-living physical environment. So we are all living in the one particular ecosystem. In this ecosystem, not only living things and also non-living things are present. So the communication between living things, non-living things and between the organisms are collectively called as ecosystem. So it is formed by the interaction between all living and non-living things. The main structure of the ecosystem is living and non-living. So living, otherwise known as biotic, non-living, abiotic. Abiotic components. So in the ecosystem, solar energy provides practically all the energy for ecosystems. Other than solar energy, we are having some inorganic substances like sulfur, boron and carbon cycle through ecosystems, and organic compounds such as proteins, carbohydrates, lipids and other complex molecules form a link between biotic and abiotic compounds of the system. These are all about the abiotic components. Then biotic components. Biotic components of an ecosystem can be classified according to their mode of energy acquisition. So in this type of classification, there are autotrophs, heterotrophs are there. Autotrophs means organisms that produce their own food from an energy source, such as the sun and inorganic compounds. Heterotrophs means organisms that consume other organisms as a food source. Then again, these are classified as producers, consumers. Producers are able to capture the sun's energy through photosynthesis and absorb nutrients from the soil. Then it stores them for future use by themselves and by other organisms. For example, trees, grasses, shrubs. So for example, if you take tree, it produces their own food by capturing the sun's energy and absorb the water, then nutrient from soil. It can produce their own food. This type of living things are called as producers. Then consumers. Consumers are organisms that do not have the ability to capture the energy produced by the sun. Like tree, these type of living things can't able to produce their own food by capturing the sun, but consume plant and animal material to gain their energy for growth and activity. So consumers are further divided into 3 types based on their ability to digest plant and animal material. So these types are herbivorous. First type is herbivorous. So this herbivorous eat only plants. It will not eat other living things. Other living things means animals, not other living things, animals. For example, herbivorous, elephant, deer, goat. Then carnivorous. So it eat only animals, such as examples snake, lion, tiger, etc. Then omnivorous, eat both plants and animals, such as rat, human, black bear, mice. So these are the 3 different types. It is herbivorous, carnivorous, omnivorous. Next, decomposers. Other than these 3 types, we are having another type, decomposers. So these decomposers, they feed on dead organic matter that includes the insects, fungi, algae and bacteria, both on the ground and in the soil, that help to break down the organic layer to provide nutrients for growing plants. So these type of decomposers we can't able to see by our naked eye. Sometimes we can able to see, or bacteria we can't able to see, algae, insects we can able to see. They are micro in size. There are many millions of these organisms in each square meter of grassland. The next topic in ecosystem, trophic levels. So it is the position occupied by an organism in a food chain. So it can be analyzed on an energy pyramid. So by using the energy pyramid, they are analyzing the different stages involved in trophic levels. So in the first trophic level, producers are occupied. So producers are found at the base of the pyramid and comprise the first trophic level. Then second trophic level, we are having primary consumers. In the third trophic level, secondary consumers. In the final, tertiary consumers. So this is the schematic structure of a food chain. So each trophic level may contain many species. So trophic levels, we are having different stages. Plants, herbivorous, carnivores, top carnivore. Then from energy level, solar radiation. Then primary producers. Primary producers, directly they can capture or observe energy from solar system. Then from primary producers to primary consumers. Then secondary consumers. Then last level is tertiary consumers. These primary consumers, secondary consumers and tertiary consumers are collectively known as secondary production. Then food web. So in nature, simple food chains occurs rarely. The same organisms may operate in the ecosystem at more than one trophic level. So in the previous chapter, we have discussed about trophic level. We can see trophic level. In the trophic level, the organisms, most of the organisms are in different trophic level, not in a single trophic level. So that is, it may derive its food from more than one source, not from single source. So even the same organism may be eaten by several organisms of a higher trophic level, or an organisms may feed upon several different organisms of a lower trophic level. Usually the kind of food changes with the age of the organism and the food availability. Thus, in a ecosystem, various food chains are linked together and interested each other to form a complex network called food web. So food web is a complex network linked together in a given ecosystem based on the various food chains. So in this picture we can able to see the how the food chains are linked with each other. Then ecological succession. In a particular area, one community of species may be replaced by another community. The progressive replacement of one community by another till the development of stable community in a particular area is called as ecological succession. This ecological succession are having different types. First type is primary succession. If an area in any of the basic environments such as terrestrial, freshwater or marine is established by organisms for the first time, the succession is called primary succession. So based on the time period, first initial stage is annual plants, perennial plants and grasses, then shrubs, then softwood trees, pines, then hardwood trees. Then secondary succession. If the area under established has been cleared by whatsoever agency such as burning, grazing, clearing, felling of trees, sudden change in climatic factors of the previous plants, then it is called secondary succession. Then autogenic succession. After the succession has begun, in most of the cases, it is the community itself as a result of its reactions with the environment modify its own environment and thus causing its own replacement by new communities. So this will happen by nature itself. This course of succession is known as autogenic succession. So this figure shows the secondary succession. So due to any factor, that is here they mentioned fire, that is forest fire, then annual plants, then 0 year, then 1 to 2 years annual plants, then from 3 to 4 years grasses and perennials will grow, then 5 to 150 years grasses, shrubs, pines, young oak, then 150 plus years mature oak and forest. Then energy flow in ecosystem. So already all are studied from school days onwards about energy. Energy is defined as the capacity to do work. For doing any types of work or any types of work will happen by nature, that system or that thing will need some energy. For living organism, it is the basic force responsible for running all the metabolic activities. Without energy, the living organisms will not do the metabolic activities. The flow of energy from producer level to top consumer level is called energy flow. So already we have discussed about producer, consumer, primary consumer, secondary consumer. So the producer is the first in the topmost level. So it takes energy from sun. So that energy is converted into different types of energy from producer level to top consumer level. That type of energy flow is called that flow of energy is called energy flow. The flow of energy in an ecosystem is unidirectional. It flows from producer level to consumer level. The process of energy flow involves transfer of energy from autotrophs to various components of heterotrophs and help in maintaining biodiversity. The main source of energy in the ecosystem is sunlight. Without sunlight, that energy flow is not possible in this universe. The sun is the main source for all these type of ecosystem, biodiversity and energy flow. About 80% of energy is lost during flow of energy from one trophic level to the next one. Food chain in ecosystem. In an ecosystem, one can observe the transfer or flow of energy from one trophic level to another in succession. So already we discussed trophic level can be defined as the number of links by which it is separated from the producer or as the which position of the organism in the food chain. Thus, primary producers trap radiant energy of sun and transfer that to chemical or potential energy of organic compounds such as carbohydrates, proteins and fats. When a herbivore animal eats a plant or when bacteria decompose it, and these organic compounds are oxidized, the energy liberated is just equal to the amount of energy used in synthesizing the substances. This process is based on the first law of thermodynamics. In the other one, the sum of the energy is heat and not useful energy. That one is based on the second law of thermodynamics. If this animal is eaten by another one, along with transfer of energy from a herbivore to carnivore, a further decrease in useful energy occurs as the second animal, carnivore, oxidize the organic substances of the first one, that is herbivore or omnivore, to liberate energy to synthesize its own cellular constituents. Such transfer of energy from organism to organism sustains the ecosystem, and when energy is transferred from individual to individual in a particular community, as in a pond or a lake or a river, we come across the food chains. So this picture shows the thing. First one is sun, then air, water, soil. We are having producer, consumers, consumer herbivore, consumer omnivores, treativores, carnivores. This is the comparison between terrestrial food chain and marine food chain. So in the terrestrial food chain, plant, herbivore, carnivore, carnivore, carnivore. Then ecological pyramids. In the successive steps of grazing food chain producers, herbivores, carnivores and decay bacteria, the number and mass of the organisms in each step is limited by the amount of energy available. Since some energy is lost as heat in each transformation, the steps become progressively smaller near the top. This relationship is sometimes called ecological pyramid. The ecological pyramids represents the trophic structure and also trophic function of the ecosystem. This is the ecological pyramid. So in the pyramid, base one is we are having larger area. In the top we are having smaller area. So producers occupies the larger area. Then secondary carnivores occupies the lesser area in the pyramid. So first one is producer, herbivores, primary carnivores, secondary carnivores. Then primary consumers, secondary consumers, tertiary consumers. Then types of ecological pyramids. So the ecological pyramids may be of following three kinds: pyramid of number, pyramid of biomass, pyramid of energy. Based on number, based on biomass, based on the energy, they are classifying the pyramids. First one, pyramid of number. It depicts the number of individual organisms at different trophic levels of food chain. The animals at lower end base of pyramid of the chain are the most abundant. For example, already we saw in the pyramid, the base level, grasses occupies the more abundant space in the pyramid. Successive links of carnivores decrease rapidly in number until there are very few carnivores at the top. The pyramid of number ignores the biomass of organisms, and it also does not indicate the energy transferred or the use of energy by the groups involved. The grassland ecosystem provides a typical example for pyramid of number. Based on number, the grassland ecosystem occupies the lower level of the pyramid. So in this figure, it is clearly indicated producers in the base. We are having producers. So it is indicated that 1500 blades of grass, for example, first trophic level. So in the second trophic level, we are having minimum numbers, that is primary consumer, 29 grasshoppers. Then we go third trophic level, again it will decrease to 8 frogs, secondary consumer. Then in the last level, we are having one eagle, that is territory consumer. So number will increase from lower level to higher level. So these are all based on the number here and this pyramid. Then based on biomass, the biomass of the members of the food chain present at any one time forms the pyramid of the biomass. Pyramid of biomass indicates decrease of biomass in each trophic level from base to apex. For example, the total biomass of the producers ingested by herbivores is more than the total biomass of the herbivores in an ecosystem. Likewise, the total biomass of the carnivores or secondary consumer will be less than the herbivores and so on. This is the biomass. We are indicating unit as gram per meter square. In the lower level, we are having producers, that is 10,000 gram per meter square. In the primary consumer, grasshoppers, 1000 gram per meter square. In the third level, secondary consumers, 100 gram per meter square. In the next level, tertiary consumers, next 10 gram per meter square. These are all based on biomass. Then based on energy, when production is considered in terms of energy, the pyramid indicates not only the amount of energy flow at each level, the actual role the various organisms play in the transfer of energy. The pyramid of energy is constructed is the quantity of organisms produced per unit time. So it is indicated in joule. Produces, that is more than 1 lakh joule of sunlight. Then primary producers 10,000 joule, primary consumers 1000 joule, then secondary consumers, then tertiary consumers. Gradually it is decreasing from base to top level. Then classification of ecosystem or ecology. First one is terrestrial ecosystem, which encompass the activities that take place on land. Then aquatic ecosystem, that's the system that exists in water bodies. Terrestrial based on the land, aquatic based on the water bodies. In the terrestrial ecosystem, again they are classified into forest ecosystem, desert ecosystem, grassland ecosystem. In the aquatic ecosystem, we are having pond ecosystem, river or stream ecosystem, marine ecosystem, and restaurant ecosystem. First one, forest ecosystem. It is the one in which a tall and dense trees grow that support many animals and birds. It occupies 40% of the world's land. So in this total land area, 19% in India. So almost 55% of the forest are present in our country. There are three important types of forest are tropical rainforest, temperature deciduous forest, coniferous forest. Tropical rainforest, they are found near the equator. These forests have a warm annual mean temperature and high humidity and having heavy rainfall almost daily. These forests consist of broadleaf evergreen plants. These trees have larger surface on their leaves that allows them to collect more sunlight and do photosynthesis extensively. Tropical rainforests have wide varieties of species. Then temperature deciduous forest. These forests can be found in the eastern part of the United States and Canada, Europe, China and Japan. Winter, spring and summer are the climatic conditions are there. Winters are cold and summers are warm. Temperature deciduous forests have a great variety of plant species like spruce, fir and pine trees can also be found mixed in with the hardwood trees. There is great diversity of life. Many insects, different types of fox, deer, tiger lions are commonly available in this type of forest. Then coniferous forest. In this forests are available in South America, New Zealand, North America, Northwest Europe and Iceland, South Japan. Many softwood trees such as fir, pine, spruce are available in this forest. Most animals are herbivorous, however some carnivorous and omnivorous are available. Animals in coniferous forest include red fox, moose, owl. Coniferous forests are the largest land of the world when compared to other forests. Conifer is a tree that produces its seeds in cones. The pine tree is the most common example. Conifer leaves conserve water with a thick waxy layer that covers their leaves. This figure shows the types of trees available in coniferous forest. Structure of forest ecosystem. In this abiotic components, climatic factors, that is temperature, light, rainfall. In biotic components, producers. Abiotic components includes temperature, light, rainfall. Biotic components includes producers, consumers, decomposers. In the producers, trees, shrubs, grasses, etc. Consumers, primary consumers, secondary consumers, tertiary consumers. Examples: tiger, lion, snakes, birds, ants, insects. Decomposers, bacteria, fungi. Then about grassland ecosystem, it covers 20% of Earth's surface. It improves the protection of grasslands. Overgrazing leads to desertification. Grasslands are classified into three types: tropical grasslands, temperate grasslands, polar grasslands. Tropical grasslands has high temperature and moderate rainfall. The rainfall ranges from 40 to 100 centimeter. They have tall grasses with scattered scrubs. They are the shelter for animals like zebras, giraffes and African elephant. Savanna grassland in Africa is good example for tropical grassland. So this is the picture for tropical grassland. Then temperate grasslands. So in winter time it is very cold and hot in summers. Annual precipitation is less and falls unevenly through the year. Pampas in South America, Veldt in Africa are examples for temperate grasslands. Then polar grasslands. It is also known as Arctic polar regions. Severe cold and strong winds along with the ice and snow are available in these grasslands. They have animals like Arctic fox. This is the polar grassland. Then desert ecosystem. So deserts are dry places with unpredictable and infrequent precipitation. So it occupies about 35% of world's land area. It characterizes by 25 centimeter rainfall. The atmosphere here is almost dry in condition. These are the comparisons between tropical desert, temperature deserts and cold deserts. So in the tropical deserts, temperatures are high around here. In temperate one, daytime temperature high in summer and low in winter. Then cold deserts, winter are too cold and summers are too hot. Then rainfall, there is a very little rainfall during 1 or 2 months of a year in tropical deserts. There is more precipitation than tropical deserts. Precipitation is too low. Then in tropical deserts, these driest places on the earth have few plants along with wind-blown sands and rocks. In temperate deserts, it consists of drought-resistant shrubs, cacti and few animals. In cold deserts, small shrubs. Example for tropical deserts: Sahara Desert, temperate deserts, Majau Desert, cold deserts, Gobi Desert. Then structure of desert ecosystem. Abiotic components already discussed: climate factors, temperature, light, rainfall. Biotic components: producers, consumers, decomposers. Then water or aquatic ecosystems. The aquatic system deals with water bodies. The major types of organisms found in this ecosystem: freshwater ecosystem and saltwater ecosystem. Example for freshwater ecosystem, we know ponds, river, stream, lake. Saltwater, as usual, oceans and estuaries. So in the pond ecosystem, it contains algae, plants, insects and fish. It is temporary, seasonal and get polluted easily. So this figure shows the aquatic ecosystem. Then lake ecosystem. Lakes are natural shallow water bodies. It is a permanent water body. It helps in irrigation and drinking. It is freshwater body. Next one, river ecosystem or stream ecosystem. Well oxygenated, number of animals are less. River ecosystem is fresh flowing water. DO is high, rich in nutrients. That is, dissolved oxygen is high. Then estuarine ecosystem. An estuary is partially enclosed coastal area at the mouth of the river, which river joins the area. So they are transition zone. Water characteristics are periodically changed. Living organisms in this ecosystem have tolerance. Salinity is highest during the summer. It is lowest during the winter. So this figure shows the estuarine ecosystem. Then structure of aquatic ecosystem. Already we have discussed. So next topic is biodiversity. Previously we have discussed about ecosystem. Next important topic in environmental science and engineering is biodiversity. Bio means life. So diversity means variety. So it is defined as the variety and variability among all groups of living organisms and the ecosystem in which they occur. So these are mainly classified into genetic diversity. First one is genetic diversity. It is the diversity within species, within the same species. That is variation of genes within the species. Example, rice varieties. So in the rice, we are having different types of rice. That size will vary, that color will vary, the nutrition will vary, but it belongs to the same species, but the gene will vary. Like teak wood trees, Indian teak, we are having different types of teak: Indian teak, Burma teak, Malaysian teak. So genetic diversity, it refers to the total genetic information contained in the genes of individuals of plants, animals and microorganisms. The genes found in organisms can form enormous number of combinations, each of which gives rise to some variability. When the genes within the same species show different versions due to new combinations, it is called genetic variability. This is the example. The next type is species diversity. It is the diversity between different species. Sum of varieties of all the living organisms at the species level is known as species diversity. Species richness is the simplest measure of biodiversity and is simply a count of the number of different species in a given area. For example, plant species apple, mango, grapes, wheat, animal species lion, tiger, elephant, deer. These are all different species in a given area, in a particular area. The diversity at the ecological or habitat level is known as ecosystem diversity. A large region with different ecosystem can be considered as ecosystem diversity. Example, river ecosystem is one the example. Then value of biodiversity, consumptive value. These are direct use values where the biodiversity product can be harvested and consumed directly. Example, fuel, food, drugs, fiber. Then drugs and medicines. About 75% of the world's population depends upon the plants and plants are plant extracts for medicines. So most of the medicines are manufactured by using plants or plant essence, extracts, that is extracts. For example, the wonder drug penicillin used as an antibiotic is derived from a fungus called penicillium. Then quinine, the cure for malaria, is obtained from the bark of cinchona tree. Then digitaline is obtained from foxglove, that is digitalize, which is an effective cure for heart disease. Then vinblastine and vincristine, two anti-cancer drugs, have been obtained from periwinkle plant which possesses anti-cancer alkaloids. Fuel. Our forests have been used since ages for fuel wood. The fossil fuels, coal, petroleum and natural gas are also products of fossilized biodiversity. Productive values. These are the commercially usable values where the product is marketed and sold. They may include the animal products like tusks of elephants, musk from musk deer, silk from silkworm, wool from sheep, leather from all animals. Then social values and ethical values. These are the values associated with the social life, customs, religion and aspects of the people. So we can consider some plants as holy plant. For example, tulasi is the best example. In most of the temples they are giving tulasi as a tirtham, and in some group of peoples in the early morning they worship the tulasi tree. So many of the plants are considered holy plants in our country, like tulasi, mango, lotus, neem. So this lotus also used in temple. The neem also. Then holy animals. Some of the animals are considered as holy animals. For example, peacock, snake, cow. Then aesthetic value. People from far and wide spend a lot of time and money to visit beautiful areas where they can enjoy the aesthetic value of biodiversity, and this type of tourism is now known as ecotourism. For example, in our area we are having ecotourism like Kodaikanal, Ooty. We can able to see the beautiful areas present in this area, in this place. Lake, we are having lake. They are enjoying the boating in lake. Then waterfalls. So these are based on the aesthetic value. Then the pleasant music of bird, birds, color of flowers, peacock, butterfly are important aesthetic value. Then ethical value. It involves ethical value like all life must be preserved. The ethical value means that a species may or may not be used, but its existence in nature gives us pleasure. For example, river Ganga, Neem, Tulasi, etc. Optional values. The optional values of biodiversity suggest that any species may be proved to be valuable after some day. Example, growing technology field is searching a species for causing the diseases of cancer and AIDS. Then levels of biodiversity. Biodiversity at global level. The huge number of species which are still unknown on this earth. About 2 million species have been identified till date. Then about 70% of all known species are invertebrates, that is animals without backbone such as insects, sponges and worms, etc. While about 15% are plants. The tropical rainforest have species of plants, insects, animals. They are the Earth's largest storehouse of biodiversity. Tropical deforestation alone is reducing the biodiversity by 0.5% every year. Many of these species are more vulnerable to extinction when their natural home is destroyed. About 50 to 80% of global biodiversity lies in this rainforest. More than 1/4 of the world's prescription drugs are extracted from plants growing in tropical forest. Then temperate forests have much less biodiversity. Globally, we have roughly 70,000 flowering plants, 30,000 vertebrates, 50,000 other groups of species available in temperate forest. Then diversity at national level, that is Indian biodiversity. So every country is characterized by its own biodiversity depending mainly on its climate. Based on the climate only, the biodiversity will change from one country to another country. So India has a rich biological diversity of flora and fauna. Overall, 6% of the global species are found in India. It is estimated that India ranks 10th among the plant-rich countries of the world. India ranks 11th in terms of number of endemic species of higher vertebrates. India ranks 6th place among the centers of diversity and origin of agricultural crops. The total number of living species identified in our country is 150,000. India is also one of the 12 mega biodiversity countries in the world. Out of a total of 25 biodiversity hotspots in the world, India possesses 2. One in the northeast region, second one in the western Ghats. India occupies 2.4% of the total land area of the world. but India contributes 8.22% of the known global biodiversity. It ranks 10th in the world in terms of number of mammalian species. India has three biomes, namely the tropical humid forest, the tropical dry deciduous forest, and the warm desert or semi-deserts. It can be divided into 10 biogeographical zones and 26 biotic provinces which represent the major ecosystems of the world. Out of 25 hotspots in the world, India has two, that is Western Ghats and Eastern Himalayas. Then endemism, species which are restricted only to a particular area are known as endemic. About 62% of amphibians and 50% of lizards are endemic to India. Western Ghats are the site of maximum endemism. India has 26 recognized endemic centers. Then biosphere reserves which protect larger areas of natural habitat. It includes national parks, preserves along buffer zones that are open to some economic uses. The world has 482 biosphere reserves in 1 or 2 countries. About 40% of terrestrial plants and 25% of vertebrate species are endemic and found in the hotspots such as Western Ghats and Himalayan ranges. Then threats to biodiversity. What are the threats for biodiversity? Threats mean any disturbance in a natural ecosystem tend to reduce its biodiversity. Then causes of the threats. First one is habitat loss. That is, loss of population is caused by habitat loss. Habitat loss threaten a wide range of animals and plants. In this, first one is deforestation. So forest and grasslands have been cleared for conversion into agricultural lands or settlement areas or development projects. So we are destroying or deforesting the forest areas for making developmental projects. So without destroying the forest, so our government will do all the things. So because of that deforestation, thousands of species lost their habitat. Second one is destruction of wetlands. The wetlands and mangroves are destroyed due to the draining, filling and pollution which cause huge biodiversity loss. Habitat fragmentation. The habitat is divided into small and scattered patches. This is called as habitat fragmentation. Due to this, wild animals and songbirds are vanishing. Then raw material for the production of hybrid seeds. The wild plants are used as raw materials. So for production of drugs, many pharmaceutical companies collect wild plant for the production of drugs. Then illegal trade on wildlife also reduces the biodiversity. Then construction of massive dams in the forest area and discharge of industrial effluents which kills the birds and other aquatic organisms. Then poaching of wildlife. Poaching means killing of animals or commercial hunting. It leads to loss of animal biodiversity. Then subsidence poaching. Poaching classified into two types: subsidence Commercial subsistence means killing animals to provide enough food for their survival. Commercial, hunting and killing animals to sell their products. Then man-wildlife conflicts. When wildlife starts causing immense damage, in Orissa 199 humans were killed in the last 5 years by elephants. In Mysore, several elephants were killed because of massive damage done by the elephants to the sugarcane crops. Then endangered species of India. As per the International Union of Conservation of Natural Resources, the species classified into various types. Extinct species. It is said to be extinct when it is no longer found in the world. Then endangered species, when its number has been reduced to a critical level. Unless it is protected and conserved, it is in immediate danger of extinction. Then vulnerable species. It is said to be vulnerable when its population is facing continuous decline due to habitat destruction. Then rare species. It is said to be rare when it is localized within restricted area or they are scattered over a more extensive area. Such species are not endangered or vulnerable. Then endangered species of India. For example, reptiles, python, tortoise, birds, peacock, mammals, tiger, lion, golden cat, desert cat, golden monkey, sandalwood tree. Out of about 47,000 species of plants in our country, 7,000 are endemic. Thus, Indian subcontinent has about 62% of endemic flora, restricted mainly to Himalayas, Khasi Hills and the Western Ghats. A large number out of a total of 81,000 species of animals in our country is endemic. The Western Ghats are particularly rich in amphibians and reptiles. About 62% amphibians and 50% lizards are endemic to Western Ghats. Then conservation of biodiversity. The protection, preservation, management and restoration of wildlife and of natural resources such as forest, soil and water. Conservation of our natural resources has the following 3 specific objectives. First one is to maintain essential ecological processes and life supporting systems, to preserve the diversity of species or the range of genetic material found in the organisms on the plant, to ensure sustainable utilization of species and ecosystems which support millions of rural communities as well as the major industries all over the world. There are 2 approaches of biodiversity conservation. That is in situ conservation, ex situ conservation. That is within habitat, outside habitats. So in situ conservation is achieved by protection of wild flora and fauna in natural itself. Example, biosphere reserves, national parks, sanctuaries, reserve forest. Ex situ conservation, this is done by establishment of gene banks, seed banks, zoo, botanical gardens, culture collections. In situ conservation involves protection of fauna and flora within its habitat where the species normally occurs is called in situ conservation. For example, biosphere reserves in Nilgiri, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, national park like Gir National Park, Gujarat, wildlife sanctuaries like Ghana Bat Sanctuary, Gene Sanctuary, one gene sanctuary for citrus, that is lemon family. So methods of ex situ conservation, that is National Bureau of Plant Genetic Resources. It is located in New Delhi. Cryopreservation technique, preservation of seeds of crops by using liquid nitrogen at temperature minus 196 degrees centigrade. Variety of rice, tomato, onion, carrot, chili preserved in liquid nitrogen. Then National Bureau of Animal Genetic Resources, it is located at Haryana. It preserves the semen of bovine animals. Then National Facility of Plant Tissue Culture Repository, it develops the facility for conservation of varieties of crop plants and trees by tissue culture. Then another important topic in environmental science and engineering is pollution. Today in the universe, pollution is the major problem facing by the most of the countries in the world. So pollution is the introduction of contaminants into an environment that causes instability, disorder, harm and discomfort to the ecosystem. So the pollutions are classified into air pollution, water pollution, land or soil pollution, noise pollution, thermal pollution, marine pollution and nuclear pollution. So air pollution is the presence of contaminants in atmosphere in quantity such that it is injurious to human, plant, animal life and property. Some of the sources of air pollutions: volcanic eruption, forest fires, biological decay, man-made sources, thermal power plant, fuel burning, agricultural activities. Air pollutions are classified into primary air pollutants, secondary air pollutants. So emitted in the primary air pollutants emitted directly in the atmosphere. Secondary air pollutants react with one another to form new pollutants. Then human sources: coal burning in power plant 88%, industrial processor 10%. So environmental effects of air pollution. In humans, it causes eye irritation, cough, lung diseases including lung cancer and asthma. In plants, it causes damage of leaves, bleaching of chlorophyll which turns leaves brown and damage to crops and to growth of plants. Then lead pollutant, the exhaust from automobiles which use lead tetraethyl as anti-knocking agent. Then paint pigments, litharge and red lead and lead chromate are used as pigments in the manufacturing of paints. These cause lead pollution. Effects: it leads to anemia and blood cancer in human beings. These are the steps for controlling of air pollution. Use only unleaded petrol. Use petroleum products and other fuels that have low sulfur and ash content. Reduce the number of private vehicles. Ensure the houses, schools are not located on busy streets. Plant trees along busy streets to reduce particulate CO and noise. Industries should be situated outside the city. Control measures in industries. The emission rates should be restricted to permissible levels by industries. Air pollution control equipments must be made mandatory. Continuous monitoring of the atmosphere for the pollutants to know the pollution levels. Some of the equipments are available to control air pollution, that is mechanical devices and scrubbers, cyclones, baghouses and electrostatic precipitator to reduce particulate pollutants. This figure shows the equipments for controlling the air pollutant. Then water pollution. So any alteration in physical, chemical and biological properties of water as well as the addition of any foreign substance make it unfit for health, which decreases the utility of water, is known as water pollution. The main sources of water pollution are domestic and municipal sewage, industrial waste, agricultural waste and radioactive materials. These are the figures shows the water pollution. Then sewage treatment. In primary treatment, the suspended solids and floating objects are removed using force screens and sieves. In secondary treatment, the maximum portions of the suspended inorganic and organic solids are removed from the liquid sewage. The liquid material passes into the sedimentation tank and finally suspended particles are allowed to settle by adding coagulants like alum. Then control of water pollution. These are the controlling methods. Avoid pesticides and fertilizers. The nutrient-rich water can be used as fertilizer in the fields. Separate drainage of sewage and rainwater should be provided to prevent overflow of sewage with rainwater. Planting more trees. Use nitrogen-fixing plants to supplement the use of fertilizers. Then soil pollution. It is caused by the presence of human-made chemicals or other alteration in the natural soil environment. Then noise pollution. Noise pollution can be defined as unwanted or unpleasant sounds that cause discomfort for all living things. Major noise sources are road traffic, air traffic, rail traffic, neighborhood or domestic noise. Effects: it can disturb our out work, rest, sleep and communication. It will also damage heart, brain, kidneys and liver. Control measures of noise pollution. Noise making machines should be kept in container with sound absorbing media. Proper oiling will reduce the noise from the machinery. Planting more trees having broad leaves. Thermal pollution. It is the basic necessity for the economic development of a country. The electrical energy is produced in power plants or generating stations. The conventional power plants are steam, hydro, nuclear power plants. So from that power plant, more number of heat is released that will cause the thermal pollution. The control measures for thermal pollution includes stoppage of leakage from the radioactive materials, including the nuclear reactors, industries and laboratories. The disposal of radioactive material must be safe and secure. Then solid waste management. The types of solid waste. Solid waste can be classified into different types depending on their source. That is municipal waste, household waste, industrial waste, biomedical waste, e-waste, that is electronic waste. So effects of solid waste: toxic substance contaminate the groundwater, burning of materials produced, dioxins, furans causes cancer. Reduce, reuse and recycle. That is the main method available for managing the solid waste. Reduce the usage of raw materials, reuse of waste materials. Refillable containers can be reduced. Recycling of materials. So these are all the important topics in the environmental science and engineering, that is ecosystem, biodiversity and pollution. Thank you.